Hey community, in today's episode, Luke Smallbone from For King and Country joins Matt McCoy to talk about the band, their new music, and the importance of collaboration as a worship artist and a worship leader. Hope you enjoy the interview and make sure to check out their new single, Love Me Like I Am, that's streaming wherever you get music.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of Loop Live. My name is Matt McCoy. I'm the founder of loopcommunity.com. And boy, oh boy, do we have a special treat for you today. On the Loop Live show today, we've got Luke Smallbone from For King and Country. And I'm really excited to talk about the new music they've got coming out, but also just a little bit about their story, how they got started in music. And hopefully this is a blessing to you as worship leaders and songwriters. So without further ado, let's bring Luke on in. Luke, what's up, my brother?
What is going down, man? Thanks for taking a moment to chat with me, man. I appreciate you guys.
I'm so thankful that you joined us for this Loop Live. I'm a big fan of your music. A lot of people on Loop Community are big fans of your music. I actually saw you guys play, maybe it was 2 years ago at Willow Creek in Chicago.
Yes, yes.
The auditorium was slammed. If anybody's ever been to Willow Creek, you just know that it's just like this massive church auditorium that holds like 8,000 people. And I remember it just being packed, and the energy in that room was just so awesome. It was killer.
Oh man! Well, thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come hang with us for an evening. Yeah, it's always fun to kind of have peers that are willing to come to a show. So thanks for coming. Yeah, that's cool.
It was awesome. So for people who maybe don't know your guys' story, so For King Country, you guys are brothers, right?
That's right. Luke? That's right. Brothers from the same mother.
Brothers from the same mother, all right. And are you guys, tell us just a little bit about like your story. How did you guys get started in music and doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so originally born in Australia, though my accent has been significantly compromised by you Americans. But born in Australia, my dad was a concert promoter in Australia, and he brought one tour back that didn't go very well, and we actually ended up losing everything that we had as a family. And so he was looking for a fresh start, and he got a job offer in Nashville, Tennessee. And so he thought it would be a good idea to move his 6 kids and his wife, who was 6 months pregnant at the time. And we came over, and soon after we arrived in Nashville, my dad actually lost that job. And so we were stranded on the other side of the world, no friends, no family. We were sleeping on beds made out of clothes, didn't have any way for a little sister to be born in a hospital. Weren't always quite sure where the next meal was going to come from. Didn't have a car. I mean, the list went on and on. And so we didn't know what else to do other than just gather around as a family and see some amazing miracles take place. I mean, it was really the church here in America that really loved on us and really gave us a way here in America. We had people send in, checks that would cover our bills by dollars. We had people dropping off groceries on our doorstep. A family gave us a car the first day they met us. We still to this day don't know who paid for our little sister to be born in a hospital. And so with all of that, we were really sustained by people just loving on our family. And our oldest sister at that time started singing. Her name is Rebecca St. James. And so we went on the road with her. I think I ran the spotlight at like 9. I was a lighting director at, 14, 15 for her. And Joel was a stage manager. We grew up singing, so he did some background vocals. And as I got a little bit older, I did as well. And so our beginning was pretty much in music right from the get-go.
Wow. And you were on tour then with Rebecca, your sister. That's interesting. I actually never put that connection together. So you guys are all related. And were you guys playing instruments at the time too?
No, it was interesting, mostly just singing. Joel started pretty young. He was a background singer at probably at 12. And I used to sing, before I hit puberty, I could sing above my sister. And so they always wanted me to sing kind of the high harmonies and things like that. And so I did that from the monitor desk for a while. And then I was doing it when I would run lights, and it got a little bit messy there for a while. So I stopped. And then when I was about 17, 18, I started doing a little bit more on stage with her. So it was
great.
It was a very unique time. I just started playing drums when I was probably 13, 14, but never really did it much on stage with her.
Were you guys ever involved in church music, like doing worship music at all?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of when I for the most part, would just sing at church when I was home on the weekends. And and grew up trying to just serve kind of the local church how I could. I started playing drums a little bit for the youth group when I think I had graduated high school actually, and I always asked myself like, why did I play drums, just by myself for all these years? And then I thought, oh well, maybe it was just to play, drums at youth group, for a little while, and I never really thought much about doing music for a living, and so it did grow into what we do kind of now. But yeah, it wasn't really much of a focus or priority for me back then.
So what made you guys want to start a new band for King and Country? What was the beginnings of For King and Country?
Yeah, so I wanted to play sports growing up. I was big into tennis, and then I was playing basketball. I knew I was never going to be a professional athlete, but thought maybe I could get a college scholarship and go play somewhere, maybe become a coach, something like that. And in my junior year of high school, actually, I tore my ACL, and I felt like that was a way of God saying, "I don't want you to play sports." And so I quickly kind of was looking around, and I was one of those kids that I could do a lot of different things average, like I was just average at everything. I wasn't really very uniquely gifted. Sports was the thing that I was probably best at. And so when that was taken from me, I actually went to my mom and I said, "Mom, what do I do? Everybody else in the family's got these things that they're really gifted at, and I can, I can do a little bit of it all, but I'm really not special at much." And she said, "By the time you graduate high school, I think there's going to be one thing left for you to do." And sure enough, I graduated high school, and Joel comes to me and says, "Hey, what do you think about writing some songs and seeing on some demos?" And to be honest, I was probably 1 foot in, 1 foot out for probably a couple of years. We were working on songs, and I had a producer say, "Luke, if you're going to do music, you've got to give it everything. You can't just sit there and look at all these other things of what you could potentially do." And it was probably in those moments that I really learned like how to craft a song. I really dove into, I want to be a good songwriter. I want to be able to create, and that takes years and years of failure, writing bad songs, and so it was a long period of time before Joel and I really became For King and Country. We probably did about 5-6 years of pretty worthless development that was very valuable. Actually, I say worthless. We weren't very good, but we worked on our craft for quite a number of years.
Yeah, it takes a commitment. I think just a couple of days ago, I saw a post from, I think it was Stacy Wilbur. She was talking about a quote from Jason Ingram about what kind of songwriter you are. And he's like, "Show me your calendar." Because are you actually like booking time in? Are you actually making songwriting a priority? Or is it just something you maybe do once a week? And that kind of just shows like if it's a hobby for you, if it's something you're really taking seriously. You guys have a new song out, "Love Me Like I Am."
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that song, where that came from.
Yeah, well, it was one of those unique ones where my brother Joel actually woke up in the middle of the night and he says, he heard this just phrase, "Love me like I am." And so we were writing in a writing session the next day. And so he came to me and another guy, Josh Coe, that we're working with, and had this phrase. I said, "There's something really special to that." And Josh Coe leaned over and said, "Yeah, it's amazing that you can love me like I am." And we were like, "Oh, that's there's something to that phrase, And the trick with songs is if you have a really great lyric, but you don't have a good melody or you don't have a good track, your song's just pretty forgetful. If you have an amazing melody with a bad lyric but a slamming track, your song's just it's okay. You have to have the three components. You have to have a great track, great melodies, and a great thought. And I think the hardest aspect of that is the thought. The thought is the thing that if you don't have a good thought, the basis of your song is never going to amount to much. It doesn't mean it can't develop over time, but you have to be saying something that connects with people, that connects with your heart. And "Love Me Like I Am," I mean, look, I don't know. Part of the reason why I got excited about that song was because who doesn't want to be loved for who they are? I mean, isn't that kind of the universal struggle with humanity, is that we're doing all these things to try and prove to ourselves our worth, or prove to another our worth, and I think that's what we all long for. That's the brilliance of the grace of Jesus, is the fact that that's what he does, and that's why it's so difficult for us to comprehend, is because we live in a society that says you do have to earn everything, and so I think that I learned really early on, actually, probably in those years of development of writing songs, that if you can write a song that really connects with your heart, with your soul, there's most likely millions of other people out there in the world just like you that are looking for the same things. And so that's what we try. That's how we try to write. We try to write songs that are really resonate with our heart, and hopefully, other people resonate with it as well. In that, makes us feel a little bit less lonely, because hopefully there's millions of other people out there just like us going through, similar walks of life.
So you guys do a lot of collaborating in your writing.
Yeah.
And in your recording. You've done stuff with Dolly Parton, Need to Breathe, tons of other artists. Tell us a little bit about, give me just a couple of tips that you have as far as collaborating with other songwriters. And I bet it was tricky over COVID, even with like maybe doing songwriting over Zoom, or like, do you have any tips for songwriting together with other people?
Well, I think that first off, I would say this. I remember when we first started working with co-writing, it was this immediately met with, well, that means I'm not good enough. If I'm working with somebody else, that means that I have to rely on somebody else, and I'm not good. So we, early on, I think I went into a lot of songwriting sessions with always this feeling that they were so much better than me, and versus what it is now, which is, man, the best idea wins, and you don't really care where it comes from. It's the collaborating is the best that you can. If you're a songwriter, to come into that room with a humble heart, recognizing that today may be the day that you have most of the answers to the song, or very few, but yet your presence and your voice still matter in the room. I think that, a lot of people get very guarded with their ideas. And to me, if you can't, Joel and I are average talents that just never give up on ideas, and so our whole thing is it takes us a long time to write songs. That's our method. People that work with this kind of know it. We're not a song a day type of guy, type of people. Yeah. If we end up with, a chorus melody and a decent beat and a track one day, usually we're like, oh, we had a good day today. We're very, very slow. But what you realize is people, if you come in with an agenda and you're kind of keeping score, like I came up with this and then I feel good about it. Nah, man, it's just about it to the best of your ability. Go into those rooms with a humble heart and just trying to create something that you feel like is honoring the gift that God's given you with creativity. And I think inherently you usually will come up with better songs. And the other thing I would say to a lot of young songwriters, write with better songwriters, write with people that are way better than you. So you don't need, because then you'll get better. But if you're the best songwriter in every room that you're in, you're probably actually not going to be writing great songs.
How do you get those? How do you get those better songwriters to write with you, though?
Well, that's a great question.
I wonder if maybe they would be like, well, I'm not going to, I'm only going to write with other really good songwriters. I'm not going to write with this like random guy.
Most songwriters still see a talent in somebody else, right? And so the trouble with creativity, I think, as a whole is, do you actually have a gift or not, right? And a lot of people want to have the gift of X, Y, Z because it looks good or that's just what they want. But do they actually have the gift? And that's something that people have to confirm in you. But I think most songwriters, artists, painters, they can still see in another what was once in them, even if it's very, very young. Even if it's, if in the scheme of a flower, even if it's just budding, they can usually see it. And so I think it's being willing to fail. It's been, and you're right. I mean, look, you probably will get turned down. You may want to work with that great songwriter, but you know what? If you keep working at your craft and you come back a year later and that person sees, man, they've been writing songs for the last year, and I said no to them last time, but I just heard a song that they did and they had a great verse. Chorus wasn't so good, but they had a great verse. People recognize that as songwriters. People are looking for other people. Songwriters are looking for other songwriters that are budding, that are because, you're not, most of the time in music, you go in seasons. You go in seasons of doing really well, and then you kind of, sometimes you have to kind of recreate yourself, and you have to come up with fresh ideas. Those fresh ideas don't usually come from, I'm just going to come up with fresh ideas. The fresh ideas usually come from somebody else sparking something in them or saw a different idea working with somebody else that they go, I never thought of writing a song like that, or I never thought of creating like that. That usually comes from the young, because young and youth do things that are naive in a good way sometimes. They're like, I never thought to do it like that, but it worked. That's why you need young talent.
Oh man, that's so good. That's a really good encouragement, I think, for any songwriter listening to this. I even take that as for sure encouragement. I've been writing a bunch of new songs recently, and for these songs, I've actually been kind of just like sending my lyrics out to other songwriters because I want to hold them openly and just let these other songwriters sharpen them and make it better, because I just know that lyrics probably aren't my personal strength. So I've been trying to send it to people who I know are better at lyrics.
A note to self, of all the aspects of music that pretty much every songwriter struggles with, it's lyrics. It's the hardest component of writing. And the people that find it easy sometimes write a lot of lyrics, but they're not great lyrics. And so, the lyric is the thing that is the most difficult to do well. But and everybody I know basically struggles with it. It's just that's the hardest part of writing songs.
And it's so important. The right lyric is so important because it's almost like the difference between lightning and lightning bug.
That's right.
Like, lyrics are so important, and one little small change can change the entire picture, the entire energy of what you're trying to say.
Absolutely.
Luke, I appreciate you taking time and sharing a little bit about the songwriting tips. Everybody needs to go listen to Love Me Like I Am. We actually have all the tracks at Loop Community, which is cool. So if you want to lead this at your church or for a special, go get a Loop Community, get the tracks. I love the theme of Love Me Like I Am. And, it made me think of this C.S. Lewis, or it's Tim Keller, actually, this Tim Keller quote, which maybe you've heard this, Luke. It's, "To be loved but not known is comforting but superficial. To be known and not loved is our greatest fear. But to be fully known and truly loved is a lot like being loved by God. It's what we need more than anything." And I think that goes along so well with this song you guys have written. It's such a great song. So I appreciate it. Is there any like parting words you'd want to give to worship leaders who are listening to this?
Oh man, well, thank you first of all for taking the time to chat. And I love that you referenced Tim Keller. I was listening to a sermon to him this morning, coming in here for some meetings, and well, first of all, I would say we need Tim Keller, and I hope that he's gets healthy and stays with us for a while, because it's a unique thing to have someone that can articulate what I think the intent of a lot of what Jesus was meaning in Scripture with such humility and kindness that Tim does. He has a way that I literally could probably listen to any of his sermons, and I don't see his ego, though I'm sure we all have an ego. I'm sure he has one. I don't ever see his ego getting in the way. And so I'm a massive fan of Tim Keller. He's really, really encouraged me in my just in my life journey, to be totally frank. Man, when it comes to encouragement to youth worship leaders, like, man, I'm so grateful for you guys. It's a wonderful gift to be able to lead people to Jesus. It's also incredibly dangerous because at times we if you want to actually go back and think through Lucifer, what was he doing?
Right.
He was leading people. So it's something to hold it's something to hold very, very loosely, in the sense of it's very easy to think through the performance aspect of leading people in worship. Obviously, you want your players to be playing great. You want to have good singers up there. You don't want distractions. But if we start to think that it's in our perfectionism that makes worship good, then we've missed the mark a little bit. It's about a spirit in which we come to worship that actually matters. I think when you see dynamic, Sunday mornings, that something shifted, that something was different, it usually has a lot to do with the countenance of the way that we're actually coming to worship. And so I would say, look, I encourage you guys to be excellent at what you do, but to come with a heart of humility, and come with a heart of, it's not about, I mean, we hear it all the time, right? It's not about me, but that's probably the biggest challenge that I think all worship leaders have is remembering that it's not about you. And it's something that it's a lesson that I don't think that we can ever kind of hear enough or be reminded enough, because we're inherently sinful, so we're inherently egotistical, and we're inherently prideful. But it's when those things are stripped away that I think you get to experience the goodness of Jesus in unique and different ways. And I would say, my hope is that for all of you out there, you're doing something that is worship is far more powerful than we can ever comprehend. You think through life, when you're going through really difficult things. My wife's a great example of this. Is when going through difficult things, she worships, and it changes the trajectory of her day. Well, that's what you guys are entrusted to do for many, many others, is to change the trajectory of their week, of their Sunday, because you're getting out of the way and you're leading people to Jesus. Jesus changes people's lives. And so if you can give that to the people, that may be the greatest privilege of life.
Wow, man. Such a good reminder. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out. You're in the car, heading somewhere maybe, but man.
So sorry.
No, it's awesome. I love it. I appreciate it, man. It was great meeting you too. And hopefully
Absolutely.
we'll get to connect again one of these days.
Would love that. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you. And we'll catch up sometime soon. All the best to all you worship leaders out there, and keep up the good work. You're a beacon of light in a dark community, and the darkness has never needed light so much. So keep up the good work, and we'll hopefully our paths will cross sometime soon.
That's right. See you soon, man. Bye. All right. Awesome conversation with Luke from For King and Country. Whatever you guys took away from that conversation, I want you to write it down in the comments right now, wherever you're watching this, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Write down in the comments what's one thing that you're walking away from this conversation with. I thought there were a lot of really good, challenging, encouraging things in there. And I appreciate Luke for taking the time. Make sure you go listen for King and Country, wherever you get music. Listen to their new song, get their track at Loop Community. And until next time, we'll see ya. Loop Live. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt McCoy. Thanks for listening to today's podcast. Hey, it means so much to us when you let us know what you thought. Write down in the comments what you learned from this episode, anything else that you found encouraging from this episode. Glad you guys are listening to the podcast. Hope to provide to you a lot of helpful content as you lead worship. See you soon.